Okay, I'm excited to jump into today's lesson for you, which is all based on creating your offer. So I didn't want to call this creating your course because I know some of you are offering something in a different format. So everything that we talk about, I want you to understand that every single step can be applied to a mentorship, a workshop, um, a in-person one-on-one mentorship. So it doesn't really matter what method per se your offer is, all of these steps are still going to be applicable to what you are creating. So don't get hung up in the course process. I am using a course example, but just know that we can tweak that. And then when you guys meet with me on your coaching call for this lesson, then that's where I want you to, as questions come up, as you get stuck, that's what we're going to be coaching on in the next call are all of these steps. So let's go ahead and let's jump in. I also want to apologize. My kids are home, but when Kent, get out. Okay, sorry. Okay, so a couple tools that you will need. All of these, I'm going to be giving you a PDF that's going to be linked up to all of the things that I recommend, but some things to keep in mind. You're going to need checkout software. So you have to have a way for people to pay you. You need to have a sales process, which is what happens from getting leads in. Are you taking applications? What does that look like? 1 second, guys. Okay, so for your sales process, what I'm talking about is what happens before they get to the checkout process. So is there an application? Are you having people apply? Are there steps to go through? Do you need to create like a landing page? All of those things. What are the steps before they actually become a buyer? Then for those of you, this is optional. This is a course platform. So if you are going to create something that has videos or that is actually going to be a course or a membership style, you will have to have a platform to host that. You also need to think about your delivery method. So this is the two things go here. Delivery method. The first one is, how are you actually delivering your offer? Most of you already know what that is. So you already have decided, I'm doing a course, I'm doing a mentorship, I'm hosting a workshops, I'm doing a shootout. So most of you, you already know what that delivery method is. But the second part to delivery method that you need to think about is, what is your process for delivering the actual thing, right? Like what happens after they become a buyer? Are they getting emails? Are they getting put into some type of a funnel, a nurture sequence? Are you hopping on a call? Like what does the delivery method look like? And so come up with a process for after they pay you, then what happens, okay? And then the last thing to consider is having some type of that email platform for communication and for marketing. So one thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating, again, the long form content and like a freebie, a lead magnet to get leads in. And so a lot of you are going to want to rely on email marketing, and you'll need an email marketing platform or some type of communication. Okay. So keep all of those things in mind. I will create a PDF that will be easy for you guys to see what I recommend. It will have links. A few of these are affiliate links, so I might get like a percentage or a one-time thank you bonus for sending you there, but most of these are going to not be affiliate or not going to have an affiliate linked to it. So anyway, just wanted to let you guys know those things, but I it's a nice way to thank somebody for sending you there to use their affiliate link if that is the case. Okay, so now let's get into the nitty gritty of the steps. So here's an overview of what I'm talking about today in this lesson. We are talking about outlining your offer. So some of the things we're going to be getting into is naming your offer, coming up with a title, coming up with a tagline, the promise or the outcome, or what I like to call the promised outcome. We're going to go over modules. lessons, bonuses, and then there's some other things we're going to talk about as well, like pricing. So the first thing is when it comes to naming your offer, you want this to be easy to understand. Like, we don't want to get too crafty that people are like, I don't know what that is. The only time that I would say you could get crafty is if you truly are doing a shootout or a workshop of some kind. Then you can get a little more creative, and you'll have to do way more research on naming your offer, just because you just really have to be careful that it makes sense, that you're not using something that's already out there. And I wanted to put this link in here. So when you're naming your offer and you land on a couple of options, you'll want to go to this link right here and make sure that there is not a registered trademark on that name in your industry. So if you come up with, for instance, I'm going to be using Amanda as an example here at the end to show you how all of this fits together. But for Amanda, she is going to be teaching a macros course. Okay, well, think about this. Where else have you heard the word macros before? Fitness, right? The fitness and the health industry, they teach you to count your macros. So the word macro, I'm sure there are thousands of courses out there that teach how to count your macros, but she is in a different industry teaching macros that has nothing to do with that. So if for some reason she finds a similar course name, but it's in a different industry, she can use it because there is no confusion about what is being taught. Now, if you were to go, hey, I really like Brooke's program from Broke to Booked Blueprint, I'm going to do the from zero to booked blueprint program or whatever, that's way too close. We're in the same industry. You would be infringing on my copyright. Does that make sense? So I wanted to go over that quick thing. But the second thing is your tagline. So sometimes you want your title of what your offer is to be short, easy to say, easy to remember, but also SEO friendly. And that's something that I will help you on our coaching call. It's really hard to give examples without knowing what's circling in your mind. The other thing is, so the tagline is an opportunity. It's your one sentence to sum up what your offer is all about. Okay. And then we get to the promised outcome. Then we go into modules, lessons, and bonuses. So, and I think I have separate slides for all of these things. So yes, so here we go. So coming down to the promise, or the outcome, or the promised outcome. Again, what is the promised outcome of your offer? And this is one thing that even I struggle with, right? Because you don't want to promise something that isn't necessarily going to be true for everyone, right? Like, you have to think worst case scenario, but what is the actual promise of what you're offering? If someone is going to increase their knowledge of, or if they're going to be able to learn more with you in 1 hour of a mentorship compared to spending years searching and being cookie cutter and trying to duct tape their business together with all the free things, that could be an outcome. So the outcome is you will learn more in this 1 hour of how to operate your photography business than you would if you spent 2 years piecing together all the free content and searching the internet, right? So it doesn't have to be, your promised outcome does not have to be, let me teach you how to make more money. Okay, that's not everybody's promised outcome. That's not what every offer is going to teach. And I have a really good example when we get to the examples section as well that I think will really help you. And if you need me to help you with this, then next week's coaching call, that's going to be where we're really going to be able to dive into that. Okay, so we have all of those fun things out of the way. So now it's time to think about our roadmap or our major topics that we're going to cover. Now, I use the word modules because that is what it's called when you're building a course, but not everybody is going to quote unquote say module, like, right? Like when you're in a mentorship, you're going to say the topics that we're going to cover are, you're not going to say the modules that we cover, but it's the same thing. Okay. So your modules, I want you to think of your umbrellas. Okay. what umbrellas or buckets, depending on how you want to look at this, what umbrellas or buckets are you going to hit on, right? So what are the major things you need to talk about? Then you go more specific into the lesson. So under those categories, the buckets, the umbrellas, what are the more specific things you're going to hit on? Okay. So for instance, an example in my blueprint program is the modules or the overview. We talk branding, client experience, pricing, marketing, and other things, right? But those are my 4 umbrella examples. Then under each one of those categories, I have specific angles or lessons where we do a deep dive into what makes up that major topic. Okay. And again, I'm going to show you what this looks like when we get to the example, but this is how you're going to outline it. I don't want you guys to feel like you have to have this perfect outline the first time. It's going to be messy. You either need to get Post-it notes, or you need to use pen and paper, or you need to hop on Google Docs or use MindMeister. It's a really cool brainstorming website. And I think you can create up to like 3 different brainstorm charts before you do it, before you have to like pay for it. It's amazing, but it's literally for you to just dump everything out of your brain and just start outlining it and get really messy. And then you can start organizing it after that. Okay. So then the next thing, once you know what you are, like a rough outline of what you're going to cover, what you're going to teach, all those things, then you can start thinking about extras and bonuses. So what are you going to include in your offer that either enhances what you're already teaching, what you're already covering, or what is like something that you know would just be a fantastic next step, but doesn't quite fit into your curriculum. And so like for me, I teach the business side, but I also wanted people to see, okay, well, what does it look like when I'm at a session with my clients, right? So I included as a bonus that has nothing to do with business is here's behind the scenes of like, here's how I actually interact and impose and shoot with my clients at a session, right? Like it's just one step further. Okay. So think about that for you as well. Now, these could be as simple as if you're going to offer a in-person mentorship, this could be you're going to include the workbook and you're going to purchase their cup of coffee when they meet you at the coffee shop. Okay. So it doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be expensive. But just what are some extras that will make it that much better for you? And then the last thing I want to cover before going over an example is pricing. I will be honest, there is no one fits all formula when it comes to pricing things as an educator. There's just not. You're going to always have people who see value or don't see value. You're going to see people who tell you you're too cheap or you're too expensive. And you guys already know this because you run a photography business and you've heard all the things. But there's some things I want you to think about when it comes to pricing, specifically for your offer. Number 1, the value of your offer. What is the value? Now, you can either price your, if it's in person and you're doing something live, think about your time. What's the value of your time, the value of your expertise, the value of your knowledge, or think about the return on their investment. If a photographer takes your course, joins your program, hires you for a mentorship, attends a shootout, right? What are they going to learn? And how much are they going to be able to generate revenue for themselves based on what you taught them? That's something else I want you to think about. And then that's how you're able to really break it down. And it's not charge your worth, right? You guys already know, I don't believe in that. If we charged our worth, we wouldn't even be able to put a price tag on anything, but it will help you break it down to where you know that photographer comes to you and all they need is to book 2 premium newborn sessions and they will literally break even. And then if they book every newborn session after that with them applying what they've learned, it could generate thousands of dollars in their business. So that's just an example. The next thing I want you to think about is, are you going to offer payment plans? or scheduled payments, or is your thing pay in full? So this is just your choice, something you need to think about. Are you going to offer discounts? So are you going, and Early Bird is a good example of this for like in-person things or the first time you launch a program. So are you going to offer a discount of some sort for the first time you run something? Are you going to offer a discount for the first 2 photographers that sign up for your mentorship? Are you going to have an early bird price to help sell out your workshops, sell out your first round of your coaching program? What does that look like? Okay. This is not about being cheap. This is about creating that urgency to get people to jump on your offer. Okay. Okay. So let's walk through an example. Amanda, feel free. If you love this, feel free to steal everything that I'm saying. Okay. But you sent me your email because you knew you weren't going to be on the call. And then I ended up rescheduling the call anyway, which is totally fine. But I just wanted to, I wanted to use you as an example because I had the most information about what you were creating. Okay. So for your course name, it could be Master Your Macro Lens. Right? It's easy, it's SEO friendly, it's easy to remember, and it pretty much tells me what it's about, right? Like if I'm a photographer not using a macro lens, I know to like run away, I don't need it. But if I'm a newborn photographer and I am like, oh my Lord, I'm struggling with this, the name is already going to create that curiosity for me. Your tagline is A Newborn Photographer's Guide to Learning Your Macro Lens. The reason that you want a tagline, okay, and specifically calling out the newborn photographers is because I know that macro lenses aren't necessarily just used in newborn photography. I know some people use them for weddings. Hell, some people use them for family sessions and all the other things. So you want to get very clear either in your title or your tagline who it's for. Okay, so we made it very easy to recognize. The promised outcome is this, and you can change this if you want to, but I think this is what you're trying to get at. By the end of this course, you will confidently be able to use, that's supposed to say your macro lens, to create stunning newborn portraits. Okay, all that makes sense. I know exactly who that's for. It's going to entice me to buy if I have that problem. And maybe we should ask Brittany, because I think Brittany was like, sign me up, I'll be your first buyer, right? Brittany, does this resonate with you? Does this give you, does this entice you, I guess, to want to purchase this course just with name, tagline, promise, and outcome? Okay. You'll have to tell us on the next coaching call or post it in the group, because I'm curious to hear your feedback. So then we're going through modules. So you sent me a list of like all the things that you wanted to cover. So you gave me a rough outline and then I condensed it. Okay. So these are your categories of what you're teaching throughout this program and course. So the first is the why. Why do we even why use a macros lens? Now I want to say something else here. This module is something that you could also use in your content to get people to want to purchase your course. So you're going to be taking, when we get into marketing and content and all of those things, which is going to be the next lesson we go through, when we get there, you're going to take bite-sized pieces from all of these modules and you're going to use that in your content and in your messaging to get people to see you as an authority figure, to help them understand why they want to learn this and why it's important and how it can benefit them. Okay. And so then the other ones I did was shooting with a macro lens. So we know you're going to teach shooting, and then posing workflow, editing workflow, and then prints and products. And you could call that whatever you want to, or you can make that a bonus, because I think even just having the 4 categories, the why, shooting, posing, and editing, is complete. And then how you actually upsell the albums, or maybe you could showcase like why they help you sell more albums and prints and products. That could be a bonus training. So you might want to keep that in consideration. Okay, so then I took one of those, which was the shooting with the macro lens, and I broke it down to the specific actual lessons that she would teach under that category. So the category is shooting with the macro lens. and she wants to teach 3 major things. Number 1 would be settings, everything from the camera settings, aperture, focus, manual autofocus, all those things, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, she's going to teach you lighting, different types of lighting situations. And number 3, she's going to teach you the angles to get those really good images that are going to be the breathtaking, super detailed, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's just an example of how you would break that down. Okay, so then we move into bonuses. So I just randomly thought about these things. She did mention that she is going to give a printable sheet of different macro, I think, poses for inspiration or something like that. So that would be like a bonus, because that's handy, right? Like that's something you can keep in your virtual back pocket on your phone, just something to look at. And I think that'd be a great bonus. You don't have to have that, but it enhances what she's teaching. And then the other thing that I thought about is, I know that for part of this program, she's going to have a PDF that kind of walks you through all of these things, but then she's also going to have videos that are going to really help you when it comes to, she's going to teach while she is actually posing and shooting with her macro lens. And then she has another video where she's going to show you her editing workflow. So what I thought would be really cool as an added bonus was also include a behind the scenes video of you working with your client with like no teaching, right? So this is just like a bird's eye view of what it's like to be in the room if they were your client or a fly on the wall. So there's no teaching involved in this one. And you could get all of those videos filmed on the same day, which I think is really, really cool. Okay. Okay, so pricing. So I'm not going to give you a price on this, but I'm going to give you some guidelines. So the first thing is, think about the value and the return on investment that a newborn photographer is going to get from learning and applying what you have taught them. Confidence alone is priceless, right? If they know how to use it, they're going to get better shots. The editing is worth its weight in gold to show you how to go the extra mile and actually get those images to where they are not just dreamy in camera, but they're dreamy as a finalized image. Okay. So my minimum, and I'm talking a bare minimum, my first price that popped into my head was like $1,200. I'm not even going to lie to you. But I want to see this at a minimum of $497. Someone should be investing about $500 at minimum for your program, if not more than that. And I don't know how this makes you feel. I don't know if you feel inadequate or if you're like, wow, you're really lowballing me. I don't know, but this is why I can never just give you guys a price. You have to price it. I can help you, but I can't like tell you this is what you're going to price your course as. Okay. Okay. So we're down to the end, and this is your action step. I want you to go through each and every section I covered, and I want you to map out every single one of them and start implementing every single step that we talked about. Because on the next coaching call, I'm going to hear your feedback. We're going to go through each of these steps step by step, and we're going to have it all outlined, and you guys are going to be ready to take action. You're going to be ready to start crafting all of this up. So whether you're creating PDFs, you're starting to hire videographers for a certain day, or you're going to film it yourself, or you're going to start recording lessons like this where you have slides and all of those things, whatever that is, you're going to start implementing either right now. So until you see me again, I want you to start on these. And then by the end, once we've gone through all the questions, all the feedback, you are going to start building out your offer. You will start selling your offer before we end this program, because I need to give you troubleshooting feedback about your launches. Okay. And then the next lesson, so after you start implementing this, the next lesson we're going to touch on is the marketing and establishing your credibility. And I'll probably go ahead and touch on launching as well. The last things we're going to cover, right? The last things we're going to cover for long-term success is I am going to help you guys with the podcasting or whatever others, whatever the long form content was that you chose. I know podcasting won out for the majority. I'm going to do my absolute best to get us the podcast pro, Stephanie Gast, come in and give you guys a personalized training that you guys will be able to to watch and to implement. So I'm actually literally going to Voxer her right now to ask her if she's available. If she's not, don't worry, I've got you. I can literally teach you what she's going to say, but I would love for you guys to hear it from the podcast genius herself. So okay, get after it. Implement this. Please have every step ready to go, like outlined, have an answer for every single thing, and bring all of your questions to the coaching call next Friday. Hope you guys are feeling better. Brittany, hope you had an awesome birthday. And then I know there were so many things going on. So hopefully you guys will be healthy and ready to go next Friday. And I will see you guys then.